Is material life really just a temporary mirage of superficiality? Or is spiritual life really just a fantasy lover's hallucination? Which of the two is more real and more important to dedicate our efforts to? This is the life lesson we'll learn from the 24th star of Vedic Astrology, Uttara Bhādrapadā, above the Sacrificial Altar. In this series, Life Lessons of the Vedic Nakshatra, we'll discover how life really works by exploring the 27 constellations through the mystical Sanskrit words of the Vedic Nakshatra Sutra. Welcome back, our 24th episode in this series about life lessons that we learn by studying Taittiriya Brahmana's Nakshatra Sutra. Taittiriya Brahmana is a authentic ancient Veda, which is full of wisdom and knowledge. And so by studying the Taittiriya Brahmana's description of the nakshatras, not only do we learn about the nakshatras, but we get a huge download of wisdom and knowledge, so we get a life lesson too. So we always start out by listening to the original language of the sutra. So here you go. Have a listen. Ahir Udniyas Yotare Abhishinchanta Parastat Abhishunvanto Vasta Ahir Udniyas Yotare Abhishinchanta Parastat Abhishunvanto Vasta. Okay, now that you've heard the Sanskrit, let's talk a bit about what these words mean. The first word in the sutra is Ahir Budnya. Budnya means something that binds, bound, bud. And Ahi means a snake. The Ahir Buddha means the bound snake. It refers to a special divine serpent whose power binds the world together. This is the serpent known as Anantashesha, whose Shakti or power is gravity and magnetic forces and things like that. Uttara means above. So above what? Above Proshtapada, above Bhadrapada, above the sacrificial altar. The next important word, Ahir Budnyasyotare Abhishinchana. Shincha means to sprinkle something with water, to moisten something, to wet something. So abhishinchana means to really douse something. This is the difference between the fire dragon. The fire dragon was in the first half of the Bhadrapada, and now it's not a dragon associated with fire anymore, now it's water. These are two Rudra Nakshatras. The two Bhadrapadas are Rudra Nakshatras because this serpent, Anantashesha, is an incarnation of Rudra. And Rudra destroys things. You can destroy with fire, you can also destroy with water. Typical Noah's Ark type story is a good example of how destruction takes place through water. But nonetheless, water and fire have different character. Fire's character is more angry and biting, and water's character is softer, quieter. And so that tells you a bit about the difference between the two Bhadrapadas. So what this nakshatra wants to do is it wants to soak things. Now why? What does it mean that it wants to soak things? Let's look at the final word. Then the final word, important word in the sutra, is abhishunva. So what this means, abhishunva is some essence or sap that you extract from a plant. Okay, so now you can see that, and now you can see the full picture of what the sutra is talking about. Because this is like literally a direct image of a very important Vedic ritual known as the Soma Yagya. In the Soma Yagya, you take the things that you've collected, stalks of plants, particular plants, you put them on an altar, and you soak them, and then you grind the milk, the sap out of the stick, out of the stalk. So it's the same as Purva Bhadrapada, but a different flavor of it. Purva Bhadrapada is also not happy with superficial external things, but wants to destroy them all by burning them. And by burning them, hopefully, will reveal some underlying thing, some essence that persists. Same thing will happen in Uttara Bhādrapadā, just that it will be done in a watery way instead of a fiery way. So in Uttara Bhādrapadā, you put the thing you take these material things, you take these tangible objects, and you put them on an altar and you sanctify them so that you can see the essence in them. So the summary of the sutra is that there's this undissolving eternal serpent, Ahirbudnya. The undissolving serpent wants to sanctify conventional relationships and objects and things, material things. It wants to clean them off. It wants to dissolve the outer layers so that it can get down to the core of what the thing truly is, the spiritual essence of it. It's the inner essence of things that fascinates Uttara Bhādrapadā. That's an important thing for you to understand for interpreting this nakshatra. Uttara Bhādrapadā is fascinated by the inner essence of things and is not really fascinated at all by the outer forms. So, when you use this in interpretation, if you have a situation where you want to really go past the superficial layer of things, really get deep into things, then this is a really good nakshatra. And because of that, certain planets like Ketu, Jupiter, Mercury, Moon, those work well here in this nakshatra in that regard, because they're deep and thoughtful planets. But if you are looking to be extroverted, expressive, and have some kind of a happy, normal, conventional life, then this nakshatra is not ideal. And certain planets will bring that out. Like Rahu will bring it out because Rahu is very extroverted. Sun will bring it out because it's very extroverted. Mars, very extroverted. Mercury also because it is extroverted to a sense. Venus is also going to bring out the difficulties of not being able to communicate or express or appreciate the expressions of love. Now, the thing about Uttara Bhādrapadā is it's seeking inner meaning. It's seeking deeper significance in things in life. If you give it that, it will find happiness in life, and it will find relevance or importance in the objects, because the objects carry the essence. But if you can't give Uttara Bhādrapadā a way to understand and experience and see the deeper meaning of things, it will disconnect from the real world. It will get very disconnected and out of touch. Uttara Bhādrapadā runs a high risk of getting out of touch with basic reality, getting detached from basic reality, and getting submerged in like imaginary significant things that are of imaginary significance and not really real. So that's the challenge of Uttara Bhādrapadā. You have to give it some real, true meaning in the things so that it can find significance in the everyday affairs of life. Otherwise, it detaches from the everyday affairs of life and gets stuck in the fantasy world where imaginary things are important. Okay, now finally, let's go back to look at this life lesson, right? Is material life really just a temporary mirage? Or is spiritual life really just a big fantasy? Which of the two is more real? Which of the two is more important? Look at what the sutra says. It teaches us that the dichotomy between spiritual and material is a false dichotomy. There is no separation. It's a false dichotomy, material, spiritual. There's no such thing. It's just a dualistic concept, like heaven and hell or God and Satan. There's no such thing as material versus spiritual. There's just Prakriti and Purusha, and they're together, always. The conscious being, Purusha, is always producing tangible results through Prakriti. It's creative energy. People are going to tend to just line up on one side or the other, and some are going to say, well, spirituality is the only thing that's really important in life, and material things are actually worthless and meaningless. And other people are going to say, no, spirituality is fake. It's just it's for weak people who need a crutch. It's an illusion, and the only thing that really matters are things that is real and right here and now. So the sutra is saying, hey guys, knock knock, both of you guys are crazy. The sutra is saying that the external things in the world are manifestations of some deep essence. And if you treat the external things correctly, you can access the deep essence in them. You see, it's saying that if you do abhishinchana, which means to consecrate with water, then you can get abhishunva, which means to extract the essence, the most important thing in it. So what the sutra is saying is tangible, real, practical, superficial objects are expressions, concrete expressions of deep spiritual realities. So what the sutra is telling you is, if you really want to be here and now, right here, practical life, if you really want to be that kind of person, then you really need to experience that deep spiritual essence that generates and experiences the here and now. If not, then you're actually just being superficial and you're not really experiencing the here and now very much at all. You're just experiencing a little ghost shell of it, not the full substance. And on the other hand, if you're the person seeking spiritual experiences, you better not be denigrating, devaluing, ignoring external forms of things that exist right in front of your face in the real world. These external things in the real world are palpable expressions of the spiritual realities that generate them. And it's only through seeing them and experiencing them, that's the way that you access tangibly the spiritual reality. So if you want to just say, no, material objects are totally useless, I'm just going to be spiritual, you're not going to be spiritual. You're just going to be dreaming. The way to be spiritual is to experience the spirituality in your life right now, in the real world, in the people and things that you're touching and talking to. That's where it is. You have to consecrate those things. Abhishinchana. When you consecrate them, you clean them, you make them holy, you make them sacred. So you have to approach them as though they are sacred objects, because they are. That will dissolve the outer layers, or let you get through the outer layers to see the ahirbudnya, this true thing that really binds the thing together, the gravitational force that's pulling these forms into being. You'll see it if you dissolve the outside by considering it sacred. Then you'll have access to the essence inside, to the soma.
Don't miss the life lessons from the other 26 star clusters of Vedic astrology. Subscribe to my channel now. And keep your ears up for announcements about the release of this book and the next online classes about it. Thanks.